All right. And here we go. Okay, we were talking about the founded on faith, science that's founded on faith. We're over here. Okay, science founded on faith. All right. Opposing worldviews. All scientific study is based on one's philosophy or worldview. Your worldview is a set of foundational assumptions you use for understanding your existence and the world around you. Because no one was there when the universe had its beginning, evidence from past events must be studied and interpreted based on a personal worldview to a different view. Well, everyone looks at the same scientific facts. There's not one set for creation and a different set for evolution. They have the same facts, okay? We're all looking at the same thing. People
I'm
interpret.
sorry because I'm interrupting, but in the schedule say page 196.
No, we're on this one, though.
Okay, continue.
Okay, thank you. All right. While everyone looks at the same scientific facts, there's not one set for creation and a different set. There's the same scientific facts. People interpret these scientific facts differently because they have different worldviews. Looking through different worldviews is like looking through a pair of sunglasses or a pair of prescription lenses. Both kinds of glasses will change the way objects look, just as different worldviews will change someone's perspective on scientific facts. You will see the scientific evidence from either a creationist or an evolutionist point of view. An ordered universe. Creation is the belief that the world and everything in it were created by a supernatural act of God. Creation sees the universe as designed and orderly. Life has meaning because it is created to be a reflection of the character and purposes of God. Since modern science began in the 1500s, many of the world's great scientists based their scientific thinking in the belief that the physical universe is created and thus operates by orderly laws. Sir Isaac Newton, Lord Kelvin, Michael Faraday, James Clerk Maxwell, and Louis Pasteur were just some of the great scientists who believed in divine creation. Others include Joseph Lister, Gregor Mendel, Johannes Kepler, Samuel Morse, Carolus Linnaeus, and Wernher von Braun. Although these men were, so this is kind of giving a representation of what we would see. So some people will see in evolution differently what we would see in creation. Although these men were not all Christians and did not all believe the literal six-day Genesis account of creation, all recognize that there is a creator who designed the universe to operate by orderly laws, an accidental existence. Sadly, many scientists and others today reject scripture and its account of creation, choosing to place their faith in evolution. Evolution, the counter belief to creation, proposes that the universe is the result of natural processes. It teaches that life spontaneously began through a chance combination of chemicals, forming a simple organism. Evolutionists believe that the early organisms randomly changed through times to give us the immensely varied life forms seen today. This means that plants, animals, and man are all related to each other through a common ancestor. The basis of evolution is therefore that both the universe and life are the results of a series of beneficial accidents. That's like saying me falling down on the ground and I turn into a dog. Okay, it happened. It didn't. No, it doesn't happen that way. That's not how evolution, how creation works. Okay, we're gonna look at these notable creationist scientists. Okay, uh, Leonardo da Vinci, Francis Bacon, Galileo Galilei, which is I think he's a Spaniard. Johannes Kepler, Blaise Pascal, which is a very famous Christian guy, John Ray, Isaac Newton, Carolus Linnaeus, all these guys are here, okay? Your project is which last week you did a project on an invention. This week you're doing a project on an inventor, a scientist, okay? So you're gonna pick one of these guys here, and you're going to um, talk about what he did, give information about where he was born and stuff like that. And then you're going to talk about an invention he did and how it helps the world now. Okay?
Mister,
Yes.
there's something that will happen in this project that everybody will talk about Isaac Newton.
But why? I'm gonna tell
I
you.
don't know. I think yeah, because it's not more easy. He create the bomb lights and the cylinders with rainbow and that
Yeah,
thing.
but you can do Leonardo da Vinci. That was he's super famous. You can do Galileo Galilei, which is a very famous guy as well. I did a report on him when I was in school. Blaise Pascal,
Galileo
who
Galilei.
I really like. But you guys can't do the same one, all right? Because you're just going to copy each other's answers. And so everyone has to do something different. Okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Move on. Different foundations. The fundamental question in deciding between creation and evolution is who determines truth, God or man? Both creation and evolution lay different foundations for truth and consequently morality, which is our morals. What are the good things we believe, our characters? When we believe that God's word is the supreme authority, we will believe that God created the universe, that there are moral standards of right and wrong that each of us must follow, and that life has purpose and meaning. Have you ever been told to do something and you feel like, I can't do that, that's bad? Has it ever happened to you?
No.
You've never had that happen to you?
No.
Where you have something inside of you saying, don't do that, that's not good, or don't do that, that's
Yes.
That's moral. Okay? For example, if I say,
Yes.
go kill someone, how do you feel? How would you feel?
I don't know. Like,
Could you do it?
if you want to do something, but you are like, I do it. Yes or no? I don't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do it. Okay, let's keep reading. That's morals, that feeling in our hearts where we feel something's good or something's bad. Belief in evolution lays a foundation based on chance processes, which means it just happens. There's nothing special about it. That the universe and all we see developed randomly over millions of years. For example, look at this coffee mug, okay? It holds something very beautiful inside, coffee. It's delicious. I love it. All right? It holds something very delicious and beautiful inside. But that doesn't mean that it came out of nowhere, okay? It didn't just happen. Like, I don't know, if you look around, it doesn't look like things just happen. Look at the flowers. That has to have some sort of creation, you know? Someone had to have done it, correct?
Correct.
Correct, very good. Answering. Because Mrs. Barrientos just joined the class and she wants to see that you're participating as well. Okay, the unbiblical foundation of evolution leads to a person to define right and wrong apart from the guidelines in the Bible, which means that a lot of people choose to decide what's right or what's wrong. You know what I mean? Based on how they feel. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily true or not, but based on how they feel. So, say, stealing, okay? What does the Bible say about stealing?
That is bad.
That it's,
That is
well, what if you,
That is a sin.
it's a sin. What if you steal
Yes.
a car? Is
What,
stealing,
mister?
if you steal a car, is that bad?
Yes. Yes, it's very bad.
It's very bad.
yes, it's
What
very
if,
bad, very, 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 very bad.
what if you steal, I don't know, what if you steal
Your coffee mug.
from some candy from the store? Is that bad?
Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Naranjo, Mrs. Barrientos joined to the meeting.
Yeah, she's in this class with us. So if you steal that, is that bad?
Yes, it's very bad.
It's very bad. What if you steal time?
A car.
A time. For example, let's think of time. Say you have a job and you're supposed to be working and you're not doing that. That would be considered stealing time. Is that okay?
Yes.
No.
No, no.
The unbiblical foundation of evolution leads a person to define right and wrong apart from the guidelines of the Bible. So a lot of the things you know to be right or to be wrong have been told to you, correct?
Yes.
How would you know that killing is a sin? Was it told to you?
Because in the Bible
Because
says,
the Bible say that.
You should not murder. And so that's why it's important that we have that, okay? We need that guideline. That's what God is doing for us. He gives us a guideline of things to follow. Otherwise, whatever we feel would be good. And if it's good, then it's good. But a lot of things that feel good aren't good. And a lot of things that feel bad are good. Okay, let's keep reading. Outcomes of a worldview. What one believes about the beginning of the world affects what he believes about the present and the future. For a biblical creationist, the outcome of this worldview is that he knows exactly what occurred in the beginning of the world and what will happen at the end of this world. He knows where he came from and where he is going. An evolutionist worldview, in contrast, leads into a series of unknowns. The chemicals that began the process of evolution, the atmosphere that perpetuated the process, the mysterious life forms that evolved as a result of the process, and even the place and time that the process occurred are all mysteries to the evolutionists. In addition, because he assumes that his beginning was a series of accidents, his future appears just to be uncertain. Appears to be uncertain. So with
Mr. Naranjo,
yes, Anderson, what happened, bud?
I don't know what happened with my computer. I need to be.
So the difference between creationists, which people believe that there is a creation and God created it, is that we have a future. We have a hope about the future. We know we're gonna go with him. He's in control. But those who are evolutionists, they don't know. They don't know how they began. They believe that they came from monkeys or whatever, but they don't know where they're going. What would you rather believe? Would you rather live knowing you know where you're going, that God is in control, or live in not being sure about what's gonna happen?
Mister,
Yes.
I have one thing, like if someone asks or says that we come from the monkeys, but from where come the monkeys? We can say,
You know,
because God created us and the monkeys, so they cannot say nothing, because God created us.
yeah.
And if we come from the monkeys, equal God
Wait,
created the
wait, I'm
monkeys.
sorry if I distract because I don't know if it's distracting, but we do not come of the monkeys, and they are not monkeys, are chimpanzees.
Well, monkeys, primates. We'll say primates. But that's it.
Oh yeah.
If we came from monkeys, we would have evolved by now. We would have been different, but we're still the same. So I don't really believe in evolution, but also believe that God is in control. Okay. Let's go up here now. Worship of creation. During the 1700s and the centuries that followed, those who desired to ignore the authority of the Bible began thinking that man's reason is superior to God's word. Once these men rejected God and his word, they also had to reject the idea of creation. The only logical alternative was some form of evolution. Evolution says that matter and energy were not created, but have always existed. Evolution then assumes that by chance and through some power from within matter itself, matter and energy were changed into the order that exists in the universe today. This philosophy of evolution is actually a faith not in the creator of nature, but in nature itself. Even materialists who believe there is no God recognize that evolution gives divine attributes to nature. So this is Lauren Isley. If dead matter has reared up this curious landscape of fiddling crickets, song sparrows, and wandering men, it must be plain even to the most devoted materialist that the matter of which he speaks contains amazing, if not dreadful powers. In other words, he's saying, okay, so if you say that there's no God who made all of creation, then you're saying that creation made itself and that it has the power of God. So basically you're believing that there's a God, it's just not God. So they're trying to find a different view of God based off of what they're believing, based off of how the tree grows and it has all this stuff, that if it wasn't God who did that, then it did it itself, which means that it has powers. Which makes me think they're believing in a God, correct? Correct?
Correct.
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 Okay. The evolutionist faith. Because of the significance evolution places on matter and energy, most modern evolutionists believe in materialism. Materialism views the world as nothing more than matter in motion. Thus, it reduces life to a collection of atoms, molecules, and energy particles. According to the philosophy of materialism, God does not exist, and a man, a part of matter in motion, is simply a machine. Basically, just saying that we're here by chance, nothing special. Okay? Why do so many people today believe in materialism? One reason is that they have been taught how evolution, the basis of materialism, is scientific. However, it is important to understand that evolution is not a science, it is a materialistic faith. It's something they can't prove, something they believe. Let's talk about Charles Darwin, the faith of Charles Darwin. In 1859, around the same time that Louis Pasteur was disproving spontaneous generation, British naturalist Charles Darwin published a book on the origin of species by means of natural selection, or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Remember, we talked about natural selection, which is that if there's one animal that has a disability, for example, here in Honduras, it's hot, okay? So we can't have animals that have so much hair because it'd be too hot for them. Or a long time ago, there's like jaguars and stuff like that. So really slow animals that can't defend themselves will die. That's natural selection, which means that those who can survive will live, and those who can't will die. By the end of the 19th century, the idea he put forth in his book was regarded by many as the greatest intellectual discovery of the century. Others, however, saw it for what it truly was, the ultimate step in man's rebellion against the authority of the Bible. So he's creating all these things saying that God didn't participate in any of this. He didn't believe in the Bible. Darwin's delusion. From 1831 to 1836, Darwin sailed as naturalist with a surveying expedition on the ship HMS Beagle. On the voyage around South America and to islands in the Pacific Ocean, Darwin read Principles of Geology by Charles Lyell, a lawyer and a geologist. This book introduced Darwin to Lyell's false belief of uniformitarianism, a materialistic notion that the present is the only key to the past. The founders of modern science believe that just the opposite. The past, God's account of creation, is the key to understanding the present. Uniformitarianism teaches that, I want everyone to say uniformitarianism.
Uniformitarianism.
Uniformism.
Try again, uniformitarianism.
Uniformitarianism.
Uniformitarianism, okay? Very good.
Uniformitarianism.
All matter and energy continue by natural processes at the same rate as they always have done. Lyell's writings greatly influenced Darwin. In fact, Darwin tried to use uniformitarianism to explain the origin of the many species or varieties of plants and animals that he saw on his voyage. Thus, the faith upon which Charles Darwin based his works was faith in the materialistic idea of uniformitarianism and not the word. So basically just saying, we're gonna focus on what's here and what's now. So the reason why we have dogs is because it's just focusing on now. It's not saying, okay, something happened in the past that led us to now. It's confusing. It's so twisted, okay? A feeble foundation. Rejecting the biblical record, Darwin decided that all the organic beings that have ever lived on this earth have descended from some primordial form, which is an original form. This idea was not new to the world. Many pagans had expressed similar views, and throughout Darwin's time, as well as for about a century before him, a number of Europeans who did not wish to accept the Bible had been quietly bringing up these ideas. Darwin thought he had scientific evidence for evolution when he applied uniformitarianism to the idea of natural selection, sometimes called survival of the fittest. As we have seen, natural selection says that a type of organism that is better able to survive in its environment than another type of organism, or more fit, or produce more offspring and become predominant. Eventually, the less fit type of organism may become extinct. So basically, he said, oh, we all started from one thing, and maybe there was 4 different or 8 different changes, and then these ones died off and only these ones remained because these ones were better fit to live. And then for these, another 4, only 2 died off. So that's uniformitarianism in the natural selection. In Origin of Species, Darwin speculated that organisms somehow changed from one form to another, and that the natural selection determined if these new forms lived and reproduced. Only the fittest forms, those who could fight well, were camouflaged, or produced the most offspring, for example, survived. This natural selection would allow the survivors to repeat the process of variation and selection, eventually producing a completely different type of organism. Darwin believed that in this way, all organisms could come from a single simple form. In a later book, Descent of Man, in 1871, we are about done. Let me double check something. Sorry guys, it's okay. Yeah, we're almost done with this section. Oh. Okay, we're at that last part down here. It says, in the book Descent of Man, descent means the origin, where we come from, Darwin applied the ideas in Origin of Species to man, saying that man is descended from a hairy-tailed quadruped, four-footed beast, probably arboreal in its habits and an inhabitant of the old world. Darwin's ideas were eagerly received by those who preferred to keep the Bible from controlling their lives. Sorry. Reactions to Darwin. Initial rejection. So, scientists who strongly opposed Darwin's philosophy of evolution developed mathematical and scientific arguments against it. Although evolutionary ideas had been discussed in France for over 100 years, French scientists initially rejected Darwin's book. Scientists in America generally avoided the philosophy of evolution, knowing that it was a dangerous and untested idea. As a matter of fact, most scientists of Darwin's time were skeptical of his arguments. Who knows what the word skeptical means?
Mr. Naranjo, I will enter with my computer.
Okay, do it. Who knows what the word skeptical means? Yes.
No, continue.
Skeptical means unsure, where you're not totally convinced. For example, if I said, guess what? You just won $1 million. Would you believe me? Caleb, if I told you you just won $1 million, would you believe me?
Sorry?
If I just told you you won $1 million, would you believe me?
No.
You'd be skeptical, right?
Yes.
That's skeptical. You're not sure whether you would believe me or not. Okay, so a lot of people were skeptical about his argument because they realized how seriously the ideas were lacking scientific evidence. So they lacked evidence. But there's a lot of people who accepted it. Gradually, as people moved further and further away from God, more and more people, including scientists, began to accept evolution as truth. Since science had brought wonderful changes to the world, people believed almost anything if they were convinced that it was supported by science. Many began to accept Darwin's ideas because they were told that evolution was scientific. Many non-scientists who accepted evolution, including many liberal theologians, admitted that they choose to believe evolution because it was the only alternative to creation, not because of its own merits. That's like saying, well, there's nothing else to believe, and so I'm just going to believe it. There's nothing else to believe. Many non-scientists who accepted evolution, including many liberal theologians, admitted they choose to believe evolution because it was the only alternative, that was the only other option to creation, not because of their own merits or their own thoughts, processing, and understanding. Thus, the acceptance or rejection of evolution did not depend upon one's scientific knowledge, but upon one's readiness to find a materialistic explanation for life. In other words, the acceptance of evolution was dependent upon one's faith. Consequently, Even though neither evolution nor Darwin's work in philosophy have much to do with true science, many of today's scientists still accept evolution. Okay? Let's talk about this section right here. How old is the Earth? Actually, I have a question for you guys. Do you believe in the lluvia de peces?
Yes.
Yes.
You believe
Yes.
in lluvia de peces?
Yes.
Not so much.
Who thinks that it's true that it rains fish?
Me, no so much.
Okay, Caleb, do you believe in lluvia de peces?
Sorry?
I need you to be paying attention, Caleb.
Okay.
Do you believe in the lluvia de peces?
No.
Okay, we have one person saying no. Sammy, do you believe in lluvia de peces?
Yes, mister.
Yes, he believes in it. Okay, one for yes, one for no. Luis Mario?
No so much.
No. Anderson?
Yes, I believe.
Yes, you believe. All right. Joseph?
Joseph.
Where is Cosmo Mac? I
Yes,
have tell you a lot of times.
do you believe in lluvia de peces?
Yeah, it's a natural disaster. Or,
Natural
something like that.
disaster. Okay, we have three for
I
yes.
mean,
No.
natural phenomenon.
Okay, and Diosa, you said yes, you believe in it?
Yes, because my grandma saw them.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Have you, I'm sorry, I'm not, I don't know what to believe. Have you guys seen the fish, the actual fish?
That they fall, no.
Yes, mister. Yes.
Fish.
Yes, mister, because a cloud get the fish from the ocean and then I don't know, like that.
No, the
Yes.
sun evaporate the water some, and from the little particles they get from the how called
You
that
say
thing?
that you don't believe.
I say that don't know so much.
You
Okay.
believe yes or no?
Know so much.
You said mostly no. So,
But the fish, how they can get into the how called that things?
Into the
how,
Mario knows so much or not too much?
Not too much.
not too much. Okay. With that being said, but you guys don't really believe in it, have you ever seen a fish fall from the sky?
No.
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 Have you ever seen the fish in the back of, on the roof?
No.
Oh,
Have you ever seen
yes.
Have you ever seen the fish in, say, in the back of a truck?
no.
No.
Just beat it.
I
Me,
think
yes.
yes.
Caleb, you-
Mister. Yes.
all right. If I tell you, okay, I need evidence, all right? I need proof. I need to see
I will take a picture.
a picture of it, okay? But that's the same thing, okay? A lot of scientists is all about finding evidence to prove it, okay? And a lot of stuff with evolution doesn't really exist, all right? Let's read this last section right here, and then I'll tell you what you guys have to do. Evolution requires that there have been millions or billions of years for organisms to gradually evolve from simple, single-celled organisms to the great variety of living things we see today. Because of this, evolutionists believe that the Earth is relatively old. Although evolutionary speculations about the age of the Earth have varied throughout history, practically all evolutionists now believe that the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old, and that the first things developed opened about 4 billion years old ago. In contrast to evolution, the Bible teaches that God created the earth itself and all kinds of living things, not just the simplest, in 6 days. There is thus no need for the billions of years required by evolution. Although the Bible never gives the exact date of creation, there's enough information to develop a good estimate. The best known estimate of the date of creation was developed by James Ussher, an Irish pastor and theologian. Ussher used dates in the Bible, including family trees like those in Genesis 5 and 11, to calculate that the earth was created about 4004 BC. Because of different opinions about how certain passages are interpreted and about how events in biblical history relate to events recorded in other historical sources, there are several other estimates of the Earth age, but all Bible-based estimates of the Earth's age agree that the Earth is relatively young, only several thousand years old. Evolutionists do not reject the biblical age of the Earth because scientific evidence indicates that the Earth is billions of years old. Rather, they reject their faith in the unproven and unprovable ideas of uniformitarianism and evolution requires in old Earth. So basically, they reject it because they just don't believe it. They choose not to believe it. In fact, when the scientific evidence for the age of the Earth is examined without evolutionary assumptions, the evidence agrees with the biblical teaching that the Earth is less than 10,000 years old. Like the choice whether to believe in evolution or creation, the choice whether to believe in an old Earth, which is billions of years old, or a young Earth, only thousands of years old, depends entirely on where one chooses to put his faith, in matter, energy, and error-prone human reason, or in God and his perfect and true word. Okay? So, that is the truth. That the Bible...
Mister,
Yes, Caleb.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a section review right now, or we will gonna do it by our own?
By your own.
Okay.
And section review 5.4 as well. We didn't have time to read it in class, but you have to do section review 5.3 and 5.4. And you also have to do your project on your famous scientist,
Mr. Naranjo,
Anderson.
I almost finished.
You're almost finished.
Yes.
Very good. All right. 1 sec. I'm going to